Hey everyone, and welcome to another Salesforce Ben LinkedIn Live. And today we have got a Ask Me Anything, which I think it's the first or second time we've done this, but an Ask Me Anything on freelancing in Salesforce. So if you've got any questions that burning questions that you want answered about Salesforce freelancing, then me and Ankit are here today. Mainly Ankit is here today to answer those for you. So I'm going to bring Ankit on now.
Hey
Ankit.
everyone. Hey
How's it
Ben,
going?
how are you doing? Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. Doing great. So thank you for being here today, Ankit. So today we're doing Ask Me Anything on freelancing in Salesforce. And I think one thing that we're going to dive into it is that there's been a lot of reports and 10K for those that don't know, they do a lot of Salesforce research, has put an emphasis on the demand for Salesforce freelance at the moment. So it's a very kind of hot career path that's very in demand at the moment. So we're going to cover that as well. So this is a LinkedIn Live, so we can't hear you, but this is an Ask Me Anything. So we do encourage you to drop your questions in the chat, and we're going to get those. We've got a bunch of questions that have been pre-submitted to kind of kick us off, but please put all your questions in the chat box, and we'll try and get through as many as possible. So just to introduce myself to kick things off. So my name is Ben McCarthy. I'm founder of SalesforceBen.com, which is the largest Salesforce news site in the world. I'm also a non-exec director at Cloud Orca, which is a Salesforce consultancy in the UK. And my background, I have freelanced before many years ago, probably like 9 years ago. So, I've got a little bit of experience. I also ran a consultancy in London for 4 years. So I've kind of got experience from the consulting side. And I wrote an ebook, which you can find online, called Secrets to Building a Salesforce Consultancy, which is all about starting and scaling up a consultancy. And I'm joined by Ankit.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Ankit. I am a Salesforce freelancer since 2014. And I started my Salesforce journey in 2012 as a CTO of a Salesforce consulting company. And I also, since I've been a freelancer for so long, a lot of people kept asking me questions about freelancing. So I started creating a course. So I created a course about it, and which is now on courses.salesforceben.com. It's there. And yeah, today I just decided, we also decided that if people have some questions which are not being answered, then to do this Ask Me Anything, and I'm looking forward to your questions. So please mention all those questions in the chat below. Ben, we don't hear you. You're muted. Yes, you're back now.
Move mistake.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, Ankit, do you want to give us an overview of what is a Salesforce freelancer?
Yeah, I mean, a Salesforce freelancer is someone who's an expert in Salesforce field. And it could be called, previously, it could be anyone who has the knowledge of Apex and Visualforce. But now Salesforce has so many clouds, so it's Commerce Cloud or just the normal Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. So in my terms, a Salesforce freelancer is someone who's an expert in the field, with whom the companies directly work with, and they work on contractual basis. It depends. Sometimes it can be 3 months, sometimes it can be 6 months, sometimes it can be 12 months. So somebody who's an expert and works not like a full-time employee, but can depend on the arrangement. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. And there's obviously a few different ways that end users can get support from Salesforce professionals. They can hire internally, Salesforce admin, Salesforce developers, big teams. They can use a Salesforce consultancy, which is one of the most traditional routes. But why would a company use a Salesforce freelancer?
I mean, there are two reasons. I mean, we are anyway seeing this economic downturn. So there are a lot of companies who prefer to work with freelancers just because they're economically less expensive than working with like a big shop. And again, it depends on need basis. Sometimes you just need that missing part of the puzzle, and then you join. Sometimes the requirement, I mean, there are different sizes of companies. So, if, the bigger companies go with the consulting firms, but there are a lot of smaller fishes in the pond, and they don't need at that level of engagement that a consultancy bring with them, along with the prices that they bring with them. So it's a very, and sometimes also these big companies need someone with a very specific skill set and for a very limited amount of time. So then that's the time where a freelancer comes into picture. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, we'll talk about kind of pricing in a bit, but I mean, in the UK, when I was consulting a couple of years ago, the minimum price you would expect to pay from a consultancy is about £100 an hour. So freelancers would obviously be more competitive than this.
£100 is cheap. I think I know consulting firms which are nobody's taking in, at least in Germany, less than 200 euros an hour for starting from admin consulting services, and then the architects go way above. So yeah, it again depends. Again, depends what kind of consulting company is it. Are they new? Are they old? Are they established like the Big Four? So yeah. So of course, that's the price point. It's economically better, but it's also, I would also say, there's lots of less bureaucracy and less red tape. So when my clients work with me, they give me the task, I deliver the task. If it goes good. If it goes bad, I'm there. In a consulting company, I'm nothing against. I have a lot of friends who are running a lot of consulting firms. We have a lot of friends, but you give a task, and there's a project manager who gives the task further to someone, who maybe gives the task further to someone, and then there's this chain. So working with consultants also help with this direct communication, one-to-one, in my experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously that is probably what some companies want, but there's going to be a huge portion of companies that, just want things done.
Yeah.
So, and speaking from your personal point of view, or a freelancer's point of view, what are some of the benefits, personally, from being a freelancer?
So I've mentioned this before too, somewhere on the internet. I'm not a freelancer to make more money. I think money is just a byproduct. I'm here to gain time. I think Bill Gates said it, that you can buy everything in this world, you cannot buy time. And for me, that is very important. So I work as a freelancer because I want to work less hours, because I have hobbies such as yourself, not listening, but playing music in different plays, or, going for sports. I take part in swimming or badminton. And for me, it's important to gain time. And that is the flexibility that I gain through my freelance work. And I can just tell my client, next week I'm available 3 days a week, or I'm available 2 days a week, or I'm available 4 days a week, and then I can use the rest of the time free. So that is the benefit. The other benefit, of course, which is less after the pandemic, it used to be more, is working from anywhere. Because when you're a freelancer, unlike consulting firms, you are not expected to be at client at all the times. For example, my current client, I have 2 clients who are in Hamburg, and I have 1 client which is in Munich, and I sit in Berlin. And I go once in 3 months, just visiting them, having lunch and having those relationships. Of course, if it is required and we need to be in a room, I will be there, but I don't need to be there all the time. And I can be sitting right now in Croatia, or I have a friend, she's also a freelancer. Shout out to Caro. She's sitting right now in Thailand and working out of Thailand, So that is the other freedom. And yeah, so time and location. And also the third one is, as a freelancer, you can also choose the project that you want to work on, and then build up your skill set. I talk about this in my course, that I'm always not looking to charge the higher daily rate. Sometimes if I get a Commerce Cloud project, so right now, if somebody gives me a Hyperforce Genie project, I will cut my rate 50%, because I want to learn that technology, because that's also a gained wisdom or knowledge, which you cannot quantify in money. So being a freelancer also gives you this freedom of choosing the projects you want to work on, hence increasing your skill set, hence increasing your value in the market.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the key words there is flexibility. You value your time, and you'd rather have a nice work-life balance. But if you wanted to, you could work as much as you wanted to, and probably earn a lot more than you could in a full-time role, because you can work more. But on the flip side, as you like, you can have a nice work-life balance.
Right. I mean, as I said before, and we talked about this personally, like right now I'm working for 3 clients, which is just enough. So one of the things that I also, again, talk about in the course is also time management. And maybe we will touch on this a little later. But as a freelancer, you can work as much as you want or as less as you want, but you should choose it wisely, because once you commit to too much work, you also have to deliver. And there's nothing less bad than a angry, not delivered customer, so, or like a 1-star rating if freelancers had rating. So yeah, you need to choose your time wisely. For example, for me, I have these 3 projects and I'm done. I cannot do anything more. I wish I could write some articles for Salesforce, Ben. I have the ideas, but I don't have the time.
Yeah, that is something a lot of us want more of. So there's been a couple of questions in the comments. One from Yugesh and one from Alanri. I hope I've said that correctly. So in terms of the current market, is this recession affecting the market and things like that? So I think the first thing to say is me and Ankit aren't economists, so do your own research and look into this. Mm-hmm. I think from my point of view, there is people are seeing a slowdown. I'm hearing from anecdotal feedback from people, that less Salesforce project, maybe slightly less are being sold, and sales cycles are taking longer. This is something that Salesforce have said themselves. But demand for Salesforce professionals is still going to be there, and in fact, this could be an opportunity for some freelancers to enter the market, because people are going to be looking for more economical ways to engage Salesforce professionals. And while Salesforce consultancies are still going to have their place, for some of those more SMB clients, paying those more attractive rates for maybe just an individual where they need them to do tasks and not a full-blown implementation of 1,000-user org, then this could be a lot more economical. I would also say, because this market is the way it is and we are heading into an economic downturn, I would say definitely don't quit your job and then try and look for projects. Evaluate the market, try and make connections, see what's out there, and maybe get some on the side before committing, because you could find yourself in a sticky situation. Anything to add there, Ankit?
Correct. I think one thing that people forget in these tech layoffs is, first of all, thank you, Ben. That was a really nice answer and roundup. Just to add to that, if you look at all the layoffs that all the companies have done, even including Salesforce, most of them happened in recruiting and engineering departments where they were working on some futuristic stuff or hiring stuff. So all the layoffs have been done there, and companies have stopped hiring. But if you look at Salesforce, if a company is implementing Salesforce, it's more like a heartbeat. As I always say to other people, as Salesforce, we are the king makers. Your job is to ensure sales and service is working right. And Salesforce is very core and essential to a company's business and day-to-day activity. So that's why I don't think that Salesforce jobs are that much affected by recession, even at, quote unquote, the 250 character company. Even there, we know that the Salesforce employees are still intact, because that's very important to the business. Having said that, as you said, so I don't think these layoffs have affected the Salesforce job. But of course, some companies have cut down on their budgets because they're not planning the newer features, so they will not need that much service, so therefore they will not need that much support. But as you put it rightly, it might be a chance for you to get those smaller projects, which the bigger consultancies are not getting. And it might also be a chance to brush up your skills and see where the market is, And as Ben said, I talk about this on the course, don't quit your full-time job. I hardly know any freelancer who basically quit their job and said, right, now I'm going on freelancing. It's always been the smooth bridge, that you had to take. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've just asked one of my colleagues to put an article in the comments that I wrote a couple of months ago to do with Salesforce and the recession and how it's going to be effective. And layoffs kind of are inevitable in some way, but for a recession to really affect Salesforce professionals, people would have to be getting rid of Salesforce or not investing in Salesforce, which is very unlikely. It's a digital transformation tool. It's not something that you can just turn off and turn on again. People are investing in this to increase their revenue and save money. So I think we can be fairly confident there.
I think it's more like a heart of the company, no, when everything is running around it. So your sales and your service, which are the two core functions, like your operations is running on Salesforce.
Yeah, definitely. So a few questions on this again. I've just found one from Avish here. How can I source Salesforce projects as a freelancer? Do you want to take this one, Ankit?
Yeah, I mean, sourcing Salesforce projects, see, the only way is, okay, again, I talked about this. I'm so sorry, I'm repeating myself. I talked about this in the course. Why should a company hire? I forgot the person's name, but why should a company hire you and not me or Ben or someone else? So you need to put yourself out there. You need to create a brand of yourself, and you need to make yourself visible in the ecosystem. You cannot just sit and be like, okay, a project is going to come to me. You need to put yourself out there. So me, I'm doing this AMA. I go and publish articles. As I said, a Salesforce freelancer is somebody who's an expert. So you need to write about stuff. People should know. Companies should know. 99% people get projects through somebody in the company was looking for a problem. They Googled it. Then they landed on an article and they were like, oh, this guy looks good. Or this person looks good. And maybe they know more about it. And that's how they got the project. So there is no kind of pipeline where you can just go and just see the Salesforce project incoming and then you can get it. The other way is to get in touch with these companies, like we are friends with Mason Frank or some other companies where who are also dealing with freelancers, but you need to also have some experience with that. So in today's freemium world, you need to give something out to get something. I mean, nothing is for try before you buy. Even anything that you want today comes with the freemium model. I don't know anything which you don't. Maybe a flight ticket or a ticket to Mars is not freemium, but everything else is like you try before you buy. So you need to put yourself out there, and then we can talk more about how you can build your marketing. But there's no to source is basically to first show your skills that you are able to do the things that the company needs.
Yeah, definitely. I'd add on to that to just be creative. I don't think running a consultancy isn't too dissimilar from being a freelancer when you're getting leads. I mean, a consultancy will work very closely with Salesforce, and I think it's safe to say a freelancer traditionally wouldn't, maybe in some cases. But I used to post on LinkedIn and get old friends who now work with Salesforce that I used to go to school with saying, hey, can you jump on a call? I've got Salesforce and I want to discuss something. Old colleagues, old colleagues move to different companies all the time. And, so LinkedIn is a really good way if you're putting yourself out there. If you're not putting yourself out there, they won't know you're a freelancer and open to roles. One other thing, which is obviously a lot of hard work, is kind of, business development, like reaching out to companies. But it can be effective, especially if you have a particular niche. Like, let's say you're in financial services and you're really, really good at financial services implementations. Why not reach out to some financial services companies that are in your country that have Salesforce, which you can do by researching online. So I think it is important to be creative. And I know, Ankit, you've said before, you go to a lot of events, you speak at user groups. I saw you at London's Calling, which we met for the first time, I think, which is a bit weird considering how many online events we've done. So, a lot of different ways. You just got to be creative, I think.
Yeah, I'm also going to French Touch Streaming, and I'm talking about CI/CD and how to get started over there. Shout out to the French Touch Streaming team. And exactly as you said, like, you need to put yourself out there, go to these networking events, and also, as you said, just be in contact with these people. And even when you're contacting these financial services people, send them a sample of their product. I mean, sign up for a developer or make a signed sample use case, and then show it to them. So you kind of need to nurture those contacts.
Yeah, definitely. I like this question, another one from Alamri again. I hope I've said that correctly. What's the current Salesforce product that is booming?
I would say a current Salesforce product. I think if they play their cards right, Genie would be good. like, I don't know if it's booming. Like, I would say 80% is bread and butter is Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of that. But if you want to specialize yourself in a niche, then Commerce Cloud is pretty good, because there are not too many Commerce Cloud players out there, especially in the freelancing world that I know of. So if you build your niche over there, but booming, I would say, is the basic Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, because that's the bread and butter. So it's not like the financial cloud took off or something took off. So yeah.
I would probably add on to that I think, while, you know, obviously Sales and Service Cloud, you know, you can't go wrong with. The products that Ankit mentioned, like Commerce Cloud, Salesforce Industries, what else is there? God, my mind's gone blank. But, you know, there are a lot of niche products that Salesforce has, and the supply of professionals for these products will be a lot lower. So you'll probably have a lot less competition, and the people that have, you know, Financial Services Cloud, you know, they won't have too many options, because it is so niche. So if you have, it's obviously hard to become a freelancer and say, right, now I'm going to learn Financial Services Cloud without a project. But if you already have niche experience using what's that velocity tool, like Omni Studio, you know, stuff, niche tools and products like that, you know, you're in a very good position, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said, I have personally thought about becoming a Commerce Cloud specialist, because I saw the lack of Commerce Cloud professionals, or also consulting companies which specialize on that. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Matt Hafford has just commented saying Revenue Cloud, CPQ, Salesforce Commerce Cloud. Matt recruits for very niche Salesforce products. So yeah, so I'd take what he said as good advice. Great. So I think you know, we've talked about getting your first project, being creative, getting yourself out there. But a lot of the people on this call, you know, it's an assumption, but it's probably right, probably aren't from a commercial background. You know, a lot of Salesforce people are from technical backgrounds, or, you know, from other backgrounds. And obviously you've now got to sell yourself and sell projects, produce a statement of work, possibly, maybe not in all cases. But if you're from a non-technical background and you don't really know anything about the commercial world, what advice would you provide to someone to help them manage the sales cycle and the commercial element of being a freelancer?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to discipline, and, you know, how you manage, and you know, how you manage your relationships and work. I mean, as you mentioned before, it's about re-engaging with the people, and, you know, putting yourself out there. So you kind of you kind of have to keep talking to people and kind of keep nurturing those relationships, and somehow at some point that will come out. And it's not like communication and business side of things is not, you cannot learn. It's just a skill. It's not like it's and it's not as hard as, again, flying a rocket. I mean, I didn't know anything about invoicing, managing finances, or anything. I'm sure, I don't know if you knew. And I at heart, I was a developer, and I was like a ones and zeros person. I was also not that good in communication. And one of the things to be a successful freelancer is communication skills. So you need to work on that. And the easiest way is, I think, all across the world, there is a Salesforce user group. Just go to a user group and say, hey, this is the topic I want to talk about. And if you don't have a topic, just look at the last 2 weeks of your work and see what did you do. And I'm pretty sure somewhere you found something on the internet and you had to modify it, and just make a presentation about that, and then talk about that. And plus, you can also use a bunch of tools that will make your life easier. So I use like Todoist, I use Pomodoro timer to time my work how I do. I have a to-do list. I have Trello. My whole life is on Trello. Also personal life with my partner, what we need to do in the apartment. And yeah, use those tools. And plus, there are also, if you look at my course or also Ben's course, we have also provided you templates to make your life easy. So you know how to create a statement of work, and you know how to start a contract. So I mean, there are a lot of tools out there that will assist you. But yeah, discipline and initiative are the two things that you need to do yourself.
Yeah, I'd piggyback off that. When I co-founded the Salesforce consultancy, I'd never sold Salesforce in my life. But because I knew the platform so well, I really didn't find sales hard. I knew all the benefits of using Salesforce, and so I think that was one of the biggest things. And to piggyback off what Ankit said, I think discipline in sales is so important, and that's a fairly, anyone can be anyone, but it just means following up with people correctly, returning the statement of work or contracts when you've said you would, building a good rapport with the people that you're speaking to. It's and it will be scary. The first time you jump in a call with someone to try and sell them a project which is probably worth thousands, it's probably be quite scary. But after you've done it 5, 10 plus times, it gets a lot easier, and it's just practice at the end of the day. So, yeah. I can see Julia's just put in a link there, one of my colleagues, for the courses. If you want to check out the course that Ankit has, and also the one that I have, they're just in the comments there.
And they're also on discount right now, if I'm not wrong.
They are on offer. Yeah, they are on offer. I think there's 50% off at the moment. Great. So, got any more questions? Feel free to drop them in. Quite interesting seeing the comments. Someone saying a lot of CPQ openings, a lot of velocity in CPQ, Revenue Cloud plus B2B commerce. So, yeah, these are I guess these are the ones that are in demand, because if there's a lot of them, that people probably aren't finding the right fits for them. So let's go to another question. So, Ankit, what would you say are some soft skills that you think? We've been through a few of them already, but to be a great freelancer, what soft skills should people be working on or already have?
Again, as I said, communication skills are the first ones that you need to do, and also learning to be, this might be a little controversial, diplomatic yet empathetic. So you need to empathize with the customer, but you also need to tell them what is the right thing to do. And as previously in life, or previously at some point in my, when a customer gave me some requirements and they were hardly impossible, or somehow somebody sold them that this is possible, I would tell them very bluntly a no, and that would backfire a bunch of times. But now with time, I have learned you need to kind of empathize and try to understand where the customer is coming from, what are the pain points, and then tell them in a nice way why this is not possible or why this is a bad idea. So, communicate. I think it all comes down to communication skills, and you need to work on that. And also, presentation skills are very important. So yeah, like creating like you don't need to create out of the world PowerPoint presentation. Your slides can be okay, but how you present it matters. There's Speaker Academy run by some Salesforce MVPs, and you can join that. It's a free speaker course run by Keir Bowden. Shout out to Keir. And yeah, so I think those are the important ones. And if you are not a native English speaker and more or less you're working in an English-speaking environment, I think it makes sense if you get good in business English. So the client, because again, as I said, as a freelancer, the client is trusting you. You are an expert. Why should they pay you X amount of dollars then going to a consulting company? So you need to kind of establish your authority.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I can only kind of echo all of them. And I think just being very clear in the way you communicate, depending on who you're speaking to in the business, changing your communication, whether it's another developer in the organization or the CEO or the director, you will have to change your language. So this is quite an interesting one from Roy Sin. Again, I hope I've said that okay. A lot of contracts are advertised by recruiters on LinkedIn. Would you have any experience on taking on contracts via recruitment agencies?
Yep, I have done that. Actually, the first 2 projects that I did in Berlin were through recruitment agencies. At my current client, there are 2 freelancers who are working through a recruitment agency. And it's basically because some of the SMBs, and not SMBs, what comes after SMB, like bigger companies, they don't also directly engage with freelancers because of liability. So if something goes wrong, who is liable for that? And in that cases, you need to work with the with these recruitment companies, because they sign all the paperwork, they take all the insurances, and they also take over the liability. So it might sound very simple, but let's say you go as a freelancer and you work on an org and you do some mistake, God forbid, and they lose their data or something goes really bad. And this is critical, as we talked about, Salesforce is critical to business, and they cannot service their customer anymore because they cannot find any customer data. Who is liable for that business loss? It's a business loss. People think freelancing is very simple. You just go in, you build some flows and you get out. No, you're responsible for a lot of stuff. So who's liable for that? And that's why a lot of companies won't work directly with freelancers, and then these recruiting companies take on that risk. And so yeah, I've worked. I have experience working with them. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good, and sometimes even it has happened twice or thrice with me, where the client paid the recruitment company a fee in order to work directly with me, and then actually also at my current project, they paid it and they said we want to work directly with you, and yeah, so yeah, I have experience, and yeah.
And do a lot of your gigs come through contracts as a contractor?
No, it's a mixed bag. So again, I've been doing it for 8 to 9 years, and I usually have now a network, and my network knows me, and somehow it just aligns. The stars so far align that I get a project through my network. Where if I say, hey, I'm looking for a project, then somebody is working somewhere where there's a requirement. So it's also, again, as I said, going to networking events, building on those network. And now, because I've been in the game for, I don't know, 12 plus years, I have some friends who are in those level of positions who can make that decision. Yeah, if they have a project, they will hire me, or yeah. So it's a mixed bag. I cannot give you an exact number, how many I've done through recruitment companies or not. I would go, it would be like 60-40, so 60 direct and 40% through recruitment companies.
Yeah, nice. I'm seeing quite a lot of questions coming through about starting your Salesforce career. We've just dropped a link for our free Salesforce career course. So if you're just starting your Salesforce career, then that's a good place to start. It's a free course that just walks you through what a Salesforce career looks like. So check that out. Right. Sorry, just looking through all the questions.
Should I take one?
Yep, go for it.
So I think Vinayak just asked, I currently work as a permanent employee at a multinational company remotely. How can I slowly transition my career to be a freelancer, and I'm a Salesforce developer? This is perfect. So basically what you can do is you need to first start producing some content or showing out to the world that you are a good developer. Like, again, as I said, you need to establish your authority. You need to go on the Trailblazer community groups, maybe answer questions on Stack Overflow. Like, why should a client come and hire you and not hire the other 10 people who are there? So you need to somehow create a brand and go out and, show the world that you are there. And then once you have that, then you can slowly, people will be interacting with you on your content or some other way. And then when you're networking, it will organically come that some people will contact you. Do you want to work for us? Or then once you have established that authority, you can go and say, hey, I'm looking for some work. Can you help me? But in order to make that transition, you first need to establish the authority and create at least a website. Your website today, if you are in the IT world today, irrespective of Salesforce or anything, and you don't have any online presence, then you are behind in the game. You need to have some online presence, be it Twitter. I mean, Twitter, LinkedIn are like water and oxygen. You need both of them. So you need to have your online presence, irrespective of Salesforce or not. Right, and then you can slowly go ahead and transition, but you need to put yourself out there. Like, you cannot just say, hey, I'm a freelancer, and the work will start coming to you. You need to, give some to get some.
Yeah, definitely. There's a question from Hilda about the free speaking course. I've just done a Google and I can't see any up-to-date links, so I'm not too sure if they're still doing it. But if you type in Salesforce Speaker Academy, then that should give you a head start in finding it.
Called Speaker Academy. It's called Speaker Academy, and it's done by Keir Bowden in his free time. I don't know if it's just he does it when he is free. So just look for Speaker Academy, and you should find it.
I'm sure that's not very much that he's free, but yeah, hopefully he can run it soon, because I've seen how valuable it is. So let's talk about kind of more technical skills now to become a freelancer. So one of the questions we've got here is, how do you think you should develop your skills to become a freelancer? Do you think you should just go for it no matter your level, or do you think you should build up your skills in-house in a consultancy, in an end user? What's your opinion there?
I think it's always good to build your skills in-house somewhere, be it if you even talk about any sport, talk about Formula One. We both are big Formula One fans. If you look at any champion, they start at a back marker team, Williams or or Alfa Romeo. Even if you look at Leclerc, or even if you look at Verstappen, Verstappen started at Toro Rosso at that time, and then he was promoted. Or if you look at Lewis or anyone, or Nico Rosberg, they started at Williams or McLaren, and then they moved to the bigger teams. And that's how you need to think of that. You go somewhere which is already established, and you don't have to do all the hard work yourself. So go to an SI and learn how things are work, learn how tickets are coming in, and show a little bit of self-motivation or self-initiation over there to learn the things. Once you a little bit get the tricks of the trade, then you can decide to work on your to go ahead and go on your path. Rather than just, you cannot get out of the college and just say, okay, now I'm going to be a freelancer. You can, but then you need to take the self-initiation about learning Salesforce. And then also, what I personally say is build projects, like go open a free developer org and create a scenario. It can be any scenario, not the Salesforce only scenarios. Think about a very basic example. Think about an airline. Think about a fictitious airline and create their entire sales process, from ticketing to discounts to service. Just do that. Or take a company, or take a bicycle company, or take a travel industry. Just take any scenario and think, how would their sales department will work? How would their service department will work? How will their marketing department will work? Create that developer org. Create nice views, create nice reports, create dummy data. There's a Salesforce Ben article about how to create dummy data, and then just show it to the clients or show it to the world, that's the way. And while doing that project, you will face certain hurdles, and by solving those hurdles, you will learn new skills. I am a big believer in learning by doing, and that's how you would do.
Yeah. No, definitely love the F1 analogy there. So yeah, and I just to piggyback on that, I completely agree. When I moved from I worked for an end user, then I worked for an ISV, and then I went to a consultancy. And I think the acceleration of your career and your technical skills at a Salesforce consultancy is just huge. You're working for multiple clients on mostly very complex implementations, being surrounded by people who are more experienced than you. So yeah, I completely agree. When you're going out as a freelancer, you need to be the expert, and you are alone. So of course you can ask for your network for support, but you are mostly by yourself. So you need to be able to cater to the client's requests, and obviously do it to a high standard as well. Great. So any more questions, please feel free to drop them. I think just because you mentioned this in another question earlier, Fuzia has just asked about time management tools. So if you've got any time management or productivity tools that you might suggest.
I'm not affiliated to them, I wish, but I use Todoist. It's a to-do list app, and basically it's just a basic to-do list, and you can add like reminders and priorities. I use that. I use Trello for my personal life. So I have a Trello board for every year and things I want to do. Plus with my partner, I have a Trello board about things that we want to do. Excuse me. And I use Pomodoro timer. I have realized that I work really well in blocks of time. And um, so if I start on let's say a ticket or a feature, I would put like a Pomodoro timer for 40 minutes. And then I'm not very religious with it. So if the timer is over, I'm not going to take a break. If I'm in the mode of flow and I'm like, and I'm solving a problem and things are coming fast, then I would just go with it. But yeah, I use Pomodoro, Todoist, and Trello more or less to keep my life in track, and calendar. So my calendar is very important, and yeah, it's synced with my personal calendar, private calendar. Working with 3 clients, I have 3 client calendars. I have a personal calendar, and then I have a calendar with my partner. So calendar is very important.
Great, thank you very much. So we're nearing the end of our session now. We'll get around to a few more questions, but this is quite a nice question to reflect on, Ankit. So what's a mistake that you've made that you'd like to warn other people about when it comes to freelancing?
I also mentioned about it before. I took, in the beginning, I just looked at the money and I took too much I took too much work than I could deliver because I was just saying yes to everything. So one of the skills is also to learn to say no. And there was a time in my life where for 3 months, I didn't even see a weekend. It was just, I had to deliver because I signed contracts. So after 3 months I learned that this was a big mistake. So don't take too much work just because you're sitting remotely. You can sign a 40-hour contract with this client and 40-hour contract with that client, and they're not looking at you. You still have to deliver. So don't, you have to deliver, and you want to deliver quality product. My dad always says the best publicity is the word of mouth, and that's also the worst way of not getting more projects. And trust me, things spread like wildfire. Salesforce ecosystem will look small, but it's not that small. People go to networking events, there's free booze, and they like to talk. So
yeah, there is a lot of gossip.
So don't take too many projects than you can do, and also not a mistake, but one skill that you talked about, soft skill, is if you don't know something about a product, be honest and say, I will go and figure, I don't know, but I will go and find the answer out for you, and then take the next time and do it, and next morning come up with that solution. Previously, when I didn't know something about it, I tried to fool my way out of it, thinking the client would not know, and it didn't backfire, but it got close. So I would say if you don't know about something, your Salesforce is vast, man. I don't know a lot of stuff. To be honest, I'm not the best guy at LWC. I can do it, but I'm not there. But if I don't know, I tell them honestly, hey, I think I need some time to research, and they would appreciate your honesty than trying to fool themselves. So because let's say they say, can you make this? And you're like, yeah, this will be done. But later you realize this is a heck of a problem and it cannot be solved within 2 hours. Then you are in. So yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Ankit. So that is all we've got time for today. So I just want to, going through these. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this session, I strongly recommend you to check out Ankit's course on Salesforce Ben. There's a link which has just gone out in the comments, but it's a great way to kickstart your career as a freelancer and really dives deep into everything you need to know. But I'll let Ankit quickly summarize it.
Right. Yeah. So also, as I said, Salesforce freelancing today is not just all the things that we spoke today, I talk about in the course, where we talk about how to start and create your brand, like where you can start. So I already say you need at least 2 to 3 years of experience in order to go ahead and become a freelancer. And that's, if you have that experience, then go ahead with this. And I also said it will take at least it will take some time, at least 6 months, to go ahead and establish that brand. So this is what I cover in the course. Plus, we also talk about different kinds of freelancing. So do you want to be a Salesforce admin consultant? Do you want to be a Salesforce developer, an architect, or a combination of all? And plus, there's a bunch of good stuff about time management, how to calculate your daily rate, how to deal with customers, and how to say no to projects, or what happens when things go bad. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. The feedback so far has been good. And yeah, thank you, Ben, for organizing things. Thank you to the Salesforce Ben team for hosting. Thank you, Julia, for organizing everything. Yeah, look forward to the next one.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much, Ankit. And yeah, just echoing Ankit's words. So thank you very much for everyone to attending. Feel free to connect with Ankit or myself on LinkedIn if you've got any follow-up questions. We also dropped a link in there for my Starting a Salesforce Consultancy course, which is maybe not interesting right now, but maybe interesting in the future. The freelancing one is definitely the best one if you kind of haven't dived into that world yet, because it's it's the best one. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, everyone, and yeah, we'll see you soon on another LinkedIn Live event.
Yeah, and contact us on LinkedIn if you have questions.
Bye-bye.